striking down this path here. I think this is as good a place as any to talk about things that are probably directing a lot of people to their spiritual end.
Better be playing the same game. Okay? We've been playing T-ball for half a century, while they're playing hardball and cheating. Right? We've turned the other cheek, and I understand sort of the biblical reference. I understand the mentality. But it's gotten us nothing. Okay? It's gotten us nothing. While we've ceded ground in every major institution in our country.
Prosecutors in Romania have filed formal charges against the controversial influencer Andrew Tate, his brother Tristan, and 2 Romanian associates. The charges include rape, human trafficking, and forming an organised crime group, as well as illegally accessing a computer system and violence against one of the alleged victims.
He's winning because he is a man who generates his own content under his own speed, under his own expense. Yeah, he is a threat to all of these newspapers.
What is it you write for when you can?
I love newspapers. Right. Don't get me wrong, I love this industry.
So that's more important than these allegations by these women.
Why now?
No,
why now?
It's taken 4 years. It's taken 4 years for this.
And that's all they've got.
Apologetic, begging for forgiveness text from Russell Brand. Could you please for a second stay open-minded to the possibility that the women are telling the truth?
Well, this could be a distraction for sure. But there is more to this story than you're being told. It's spiritually significant. After all, I wouldn't have warned everybody that this was coming a year ago. You know, there's a boxer. His name's Ryan Garcia, and he went on tangents about a lot of stuff, says he has a lot of information. This information, of course, is spooky and has to do with clubs that, well, James O'Keefe visited. That's right. We have information about James O'Keefe again.
I went to this bohemian club and it's upset people. So I just wanted to hear from you and kind of take your temperature and see how you're feeling, see how you're doing, like what's going through your mind.
James, I mean, how did you even get invited there? And like, it's the most powerful secret society in the world.
Once again, these are people that I talk about that I know a lot of people put their trust in. And, well, it just continues to be revealed that maybe these people just aren't really the best. This video where he was allegedly, I don't know, being disrespectful, doing things to an underage girl, a 20-year-old girl, feeding her drinks, saying all sorts of really just horrible things. But I know what a lot of people are doing is they're going to try to defend this behavior, much like they did with Russell Brand when all of his information came out. You know, they're attacking him. He's coming against the system, which is what James O'Keefe said. Pretty much right after the news broke, where you have this horrible video going down and everybody's, you know, even the Krasenstein brothers are coming up and saying stuff about him. Upsetting to me is, of course, according to Meta's AI, James O'Keefe he's a pretty decent guy. You know, he's checking the boxes, you know, according to Meta AI. Now, this guy who's chased around Dylan Mulvaney and done all sorts of things that I would consider to be divisive, well, according to Meta AI, not so much. However, if you ask Meta AI about me, it comes up with all sorts of horrible things. That I'm like vulgar even. None of this is true. None of this is true. That's the good news. But the bad news is we have a lot of influencers. Well, there's news that's about them that is true. And yet they're still getting, you know, promoted in the algorithm. Now, Russell was somebody that I did a show about. And this morning, I didn't think too much about this when the news broke about him getting baptized.
As you know, if you know, my resources are coming from somewhere else and someone else now. I got baptized and it was an incredible, profound experience. Something occurred in the process of baptism that was incredible. Something occurred in the process of baptism that was incredible. Overwhelming, literally overwhelming. I feel as if some new resource within me has switched on. has switched on. This is my path now, and I already feel incredibly blessed.
Which I thought was strange because, after he was baptized, the first thing that he did was the very next day he showed everybody this tarot card here. And the tarot card is the 8 of Swords. The 8 of Swords, a lot of these people that are into the tarot, and, they say that the 8 of Swords is, it's like a psyop card. Has to do with gaslighting people. It's holding it. Because the reason is you look at the card and you see that this woman who's bound, by these 8 swords, really all she has to do is take the blindfold off and she can find out that she's free. This is what Russell put out after he was baptized. First thing he puts out was this video where he's telling everybody about this 8 of Swords card, which I find so incredibly interesting. Because it's just like, you get baptized in a Christian church. Probably the first thing you wouldn't do was do something that would confuse people, like start dabbling in the tarot. Look at this little art that's got here. I don't know where the heck I am. It's a good thing I got a bottle of water. Take off the blinders. Take off the blindfold, and you can just walk and be free. So I felt like right before he gets baptized, boom, there's the, hey, this is kind of like gaslighting you. This is kind of like a psyop, if you will. And then the next video he shares is that he got baptized. And of course, this baptism was like miraculous.
As you know, if you know, my resources are coming from somewhere else. My resources are coming from somewhere else and someone else.
He said that, that there was like something was switched inside of him. Remember we were talking about flipping the switch, and that was going to be a thing? That like a switch took place that he really felt it. He made it out to seem very, very much like it was kind of a miraculous thing. Then he went on to explain that it was his ministry. See now, and then I go to X, and I do something that's probably not, I feel bad about even calling this guy out, because what if he's sincere? Why do I feel like he's not sincere? Well, maybe it's because exactly 222 days ago, I did this video here that Drip Bits, that famous artist, created the AntiChrist Russell brand. And you look at the thumbnail and it says Messiah. And that whole video was sort of about how, are these the people? I find it very suspect, and I find it very interesting that after Kanye just blows up his chances of really having a big ministry, before he blows up his chances, what ends up happening? He comes out with his Yeezy really bad site with all the naughty stuff, and he's going to do that, and then he took it down. I mean, I told you it was going to happen that way.
The question we're going to be asking today is whether or not Kanye West is legitimate in his foray into Christianity, or if he's somehow part of something else, maybe brought in to kind of lead the world in a certain direction. Maybe not the direction that would be truly endorsed by Christ.
With the Vultures album, it was, I felt like he was being used to kind of bring people into a certain direction in religion. Maybe one that's going to be approved by the state. And then I felt like, well, maybe he doesn't want to be that anymore. And then he started, basically telling people that he even questions the idea of God. He actually says he's God. And then he starts a porn site. So it was like the next day Russell Brand comes out. The next day he goes, I'm going to get baptized. I just thought to myself, is it me? Is it me, or does that seem a little bit like timing? Do a video of the many faces of Russell Brand, and this happens. I find it more interesting that just like a day or two before all this news breaks about him going to get baptized, he's telling everybody he's telling everybody wearing like a Saturn. He has like Saturn. He's got a planet that looks like Saturn on his shirt, and it looks all sweaty, like he hasn't bathed, or he got out of the shower and didn't use a towel. It looks all sweaty and all kind of just granola-y, if you will. Someone even said that that's a style, that's actually a very expensive shirt, and that's what wealthy people do to make them look like the commoners. I found that to be very interesting. What a great take. And what if that's the truth? He's the elite, and he's putting on, the poor man's clothes, which cost, tens of thousands of dollars. I'm not saying that's the case. But it had Saturn, and then he's holding the tarot card, and then he's baptized, and all of a sudden he has a ministry. So after I posted those couple of things where I'm kind of pointing out how I feel like this is insincere, like I felt like James O'Keefe is insincere. I feel like these people, I feel like they're brought in front of us to lead people. It's like the system wants to guide you, spiritually speaking too. But it is what it is, So I'm feeling bad. I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'm just being a big jerk, very cynical, because he sounds sincere. Maybe he really wants to know God. Maybe it was a bad idea to, have your first video back, have a, tarot card. Maybe it's all cool, And then then Drip Bits reminds me of that thumbnail, and then I go back to that video, the video that is called The Many Faces of Russell Brand, and it's 222 days. A while back, I started getting this vibe that we were going to see this sort of culture of, canceling people out years ago, okay? Like right before the first one went down, that first peg. Now, this is where it gets weird because I had forgotten about this show. I forgot about the thumbnail that I made. I forgot about the timing of it because it was years ago. What was it, 2018? Take a look at this. Whose head is about to get snipped off from every single platform? That's weird. Then you got that 17th letter around them. Weirder still. The video. Strange. Look at the title. Felt like that was part of the plan. Using so-called fake news to keep us ignorant. Is it real news? Did they really get canceled? Or was this the thing that catapulted these people into better and higher and greater directions? Now, I know that he's going through, the guy in the picture right there, I know he's going through a really hard time in court. And it's terrible. You know what else is terrible? What else is terrible is saying things that aren't real unless you know they aren't real. Things that are real, saying they aren't real, not a good thing unless you know they aren't real. And if you don't know, just to get, not a good thing. Not a good thing. A terrible thing, in fact. To make it seem like these people are maybe in on it. I don't want to, but we do seem to go towards them, don't we? Like we do kind of take our direction from them. I'm not saying I do, but I'm saying a lot of people do. Not too long after the whole world knew that Jimmy Savile was a predator, a monster who preyed on children and women and young men and everything, Russell Brand still offered his assistant naked to him. Said, hey, let me send my assistant over for you, and, we'll make you happy because she does what I say. These are our heroes.
Don't usually meet fellas, but if you've got a sister, that's okay.
I've got a personal assistant called and part of her job description is that anyone I demand she greets, meets, massages, she has to do it. She's very attractive, Jimmy.
Well, that's a good start.
What kind of
start? You could send her along to do some research.
Would you like her to wear anything in particular to Jimmy?
I'd actually prefer her to wear nothing.
Right, so you want my assistant to meet you naked? Okay, well that's not going to be a problem.
So you got to tell me in the comments section if you think that these people can be trusted. And you know what? Listen, take it for face value. Just don't let them guide you, right? You can't go and get baptized and a flip is switched, okay? That makes it something that's like all about you. It's a step. It's a carnal step we were just talking about, but it doesn't mean that if you do that, all your troubles are going to be over and all this. It's just bringing you into something where a church or an organization can then dictate spiritually how far you go. And there are limits to it because they want people to hate. They want people to fear. It sells, right? So you got to tell me. You got to tell me if you think that it's a little weird that I did that show. And I don't know, I guess we'll keep them all in prayer. I think that a lot more people are going to be revealed. I think that we're going to see all sorts of weird stuff happen. I hope you're like the trip to the beach. Don't forget to hit the like button, will you? We did a Q&A. Just last night, and it was the first time I've ever done one live, and I think it went really well. Everybody seemed to really enjoy it, and now I know how to make it even better. I think that I'm going to do this maybe once a month. Do me a favor, if you haven't seen it, at the end of the show, it'll pop up, and you can check it out. In the meantime, watch the trailer to my novel. Get yourself some truly free home products. Use code Jacob, get 30% off, and get yourself a copy of The Calling at Amazon.com, and make sure to work smarter, not harder. When it's beautiful out, this is the first day at the beach. How many beach days are we going to have? We're going to see. I love each and every one of you. I'll talk to you soon.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the East to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling.
Click it.